Belgian police have arrested almost 500 peace activists outside the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Protesters attempted to storm the building but were met with a heavy-handed response from hundreds of officers. Demonstrators say the march was called to protest NATO's hawkish intervention policies. Let's get more on this now from one of the activists who actually took part there in the demonstration, Hans Lammerant, a spokesman for NATO Game Over, joining us live from Brussels on the programme. Good to see you. You witnessed yesterday's protest firsthand. What appeared to spark the violence? And do tell us, why did the demonstrators try and break into NATO headquarters?
Okay, the fact that we are peace activists doesn't mean we have to stay passively aside. We didn't use violence, but we were actively trying to get in to stop the preparation of war policies by NATO. So we say at the NATO headquarters, what happens there is the preparation of war and war crimes. And if our governments don't stop it, then it are its citizens which have to show that they want to stop it.
So you're protesting against what you're calling the heavy-handedness and aggressive approach of NATO, but here you are, a peace activist, breaking into the Brussels NATO headquarters. Not particularly peaceful, some might say.
Well, what we in fact are trying to do is to bring the legality of the official policies before the courts. And we try to do that ourselves by an act of civil disobedience. So if they prosecute us, we also have the discussion on the legality of the nuclear weapons policies and the military interventions before court. So that's a bit the strategy behind the protests.
All right, well, let's take a step back here and look at the broader picture. NATO has been credited by some with bringing a fledgling form of democracy to Libya. For years, it's been working to bring the same to Afghanistan. Isn't NATO a successful pro-peace organization?
Well, I would doubt the successful. I mean, NATO is now for 10 years in Afghanistan, and I don't see a lot of success. Libya, now we see, like, there were the news of more than 100 deaths between wars or between militias. So in fact, you can question if the military interventions are really bringing peace, or are we just arming the next phase in civil wars. But in fact, with the military intervention, I'm
sorry to interrupt you, but NATO is an international military bloc. We all understand that. But surely NATO does have some global responsibilities to promote peace in conflict-torn areas. Or are you saying that it's not doing that at all and it's just actually arming rebels?
Well, what I'm saying is that the method of bringing peace is just not working. Like in the Libya war, in fact, NATO played the role of the air force of a certain party in the conflict, armed that party. And what you see now is that you just have brought new armed groups to sort of like to the political importance. So, in fact, what you do with military interventions is just making armed groups more important than civil groups, and you, in fact, prepare the civil war which comes afterwards.
But could it be, in some people's eyes, when you talk about the indirect arming of rebels or worsening a conflict-torn region, some might just call that collateral damage?
Well, I think the collateral damage is getting quite a lot. Like, everyone focuses on one dictator, and of course we were not friends of Assad or Gaddafi or whichever, but the dictator is just a sort of symptom of the underlying problem. And by just removing that one and putting other armed parties in place, you don't solve a conflict, you just prolong it.
Hans Lammerant, a spokesman for NATO Game Over. Thank you for joining us live from Brussels today.